Okay. Acha. So it started. So yesterday we stopped midway in the analysis of Gaussian beams. Today we sort of take it up and go to an understanding. Let me share my screen. Let me share my screen. Visible? Yeah, visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we stopped at this relationship where we had. Let me just write that down again. Basically, we had your yeah. So essentially, uh, yeah. So this Gaussian beams continued. So we had your e to the I pz as q0 by q0 plus z. Okay. So q0, that is where we sort of yeah, came to a conclusion. So this what this q0 is. Remember, q0 we defined something as z equal to 0. So this can be simplified to just something like if I take q0 common, so I have like q0 by q0 by 1 by z by q0, so that this essentially becomes 1 by 1 plus z by q naught. And this q naught essentially, so this 1 by q naught I write as 1 by r naught plus some I lambda by w0 square z, which we have already defined your q as 1 by r, and this thing, this is a constant because this is at r equal to 0. So now, because we are at a liberty to choose the
Sir,
plane z equal,
it
yeah,
should be
anything.
one by q equal to, right, not q naught.
No, this is r0. This is 0. Okay,
Oh,
so r naught, q naught, r naught, w naught. Okay, so we are saying that 1 by q naught also equal to this. And here what we are doing essentially is, so this is basically at q at z equal to 0. So here we choose that value. This z equal to 0 can be chosen arbitrarily because we can define any plane as z equal to 0. And is what we do is we choose that plane to be z equal to 0 where r is infinitely large, as that plane where r is tending to to it's infinitely large. Okay, and that we can say is my z equal to 0, right? So this is, see, it's an arbitrary choice. I can choose my plane wherever I want. So if I do that where r is in this is r infinitely large, essentially what I get is this 1 by q0 becomes I lambda by pi w0 square. Just this is not a function of z, this is just w0 square. Okay, this is a constant then. This is on a big assumption, and we shall, what we will basically do is kind of validate this. We are going to show that q is q that sorry, wz is something that's basically going to keep on increasing after this. Okay, as a function of z, as I increase z, this is going to arbitrarily increase. So we can now consider the other one, that is the value of q. So we know that q was q0 plus z, so that means 1 by q we have as 1 by q0 plus z, which is now given by 1 by your pi w square, sorry, which is essentially, yeah, so 1 by q, right, pi w square by I lambda plus z, right? This is just ulta, it's opposite, 1 by this. So then now if I want to just, we want to get this, we want to break this into, say, acha, so I can just make this little better looking. I niche hai. So this essentially is like I lambda by pi w0 square plus 1 by I lambda z by pi w0 square, right? Is something that I just, this is fine.
Sir, W0 is
Mm.
at Z equal to 0, right?
Yes,
Or
yes,
something
yes.
else?
All. This is also all are at z equal to 0. So
Oh,
q0 is basically q at z equal to 0. Both are defined at z equal to 0. Okay.
okay.
And here I choose, remember, this is some kind of a, so this comes in the phase part, right? So I can choose my plane arbitrarily anywhere z equal to 0. I choose z equal to 0 as that plane where r is very large, which is like infinitely large, which is fair enough, I guess, right? So now when I have this, इसको अभी we can just break this up into real imagine, माने इसको just make this real. So we need to multiply by complex conjugate. फिर ये क्या आएगा, one, so multiplying by complex conjugate, what you will get here is I lambda by pi w0 square 1, इसका minus आएगा, minus I lambda z by pi w naught square divided by इसका whole square, right? So 1 plus lambda square z square pi, this pi square w04, right? Okay. So now this is, इसको ठीक से थोड़ा ढंग से लिखते हैं. So real imaginary part we can just break. So we have like I lambda by pi w naught square minus rather plus हो जाएगा, plus 1 by z lambda z by no, one minute, ये क्या है, I lambda, and this is just pi square, yeah, lambda z by, oh yeah, we can write this thoda, yeah, because this is an important thing that I want to get. Okay, so it's actually just this is z, so I wrote z square and niche z. So because we want to parameterize this thing, we want to introduce a new parameter. Okay, so this is essentially lambda z by pi w naught whole square. So I wrote the same thing here. That's why I wrote this 1 by z outside, and inside I have a square. So finally this is just z. Okay. So now so and this of course is your 1 by rz plus I lambda by pi wz square, right? This is fine. So now we have sort of written this in a real imaginary part, sort of this thing. इसको थोड़ा और छोटा नहीं होता है. So now we introduce this very crucial parameter. So we introduce this parameter called z0, which is a very crucial parameter for characterizing Gaussian beams. It's called the Rayleigh range. Okay, this is extremely important. This thing actually. Okay, so this is if you really try to look. So we will just at the moment you just take that I've defined this as a constant. This pi. What is the physical meaning? We will come to that. Very important, but we'll come to that. Just take this, note this. So essentially, what I am getting now, ये फिर z by z0 not हो गया. Right, very clearly this becomes z by z0 naught. Okay, so now I equate real and imaginary parts, and I will basically get your 1 by rz as this 1 by z, तुम्हारा this becomes z by z naught whole square divided by 1 plus z by z naught whole square, right? So this is basically uh, right. So this is essentially, this one becomes 1 by this thing, 1 by z. Yeah, so then your r, which implies that r becomes, iska ulta karo, basically is just 1 by plus z by z naught whole square by this is just z by z naught square, right? उफ, इसको ठीक कर दे थोड़ा. 1 plus, which means जे r इसको ये करेंगे तो ये z square, ये square, z naught square cancel, so you basically get, ये ऊपर जाएगा तो you will get z plus z naught square by z. So this is clearly saying that as the curvature basically increases as you go, as you increase z. Okay, as you go from, I mean, sorry, yeah. So it basically, as you change this thing, this is how your R will evolve. Okay, so however, there's a very interesting thing, because you define, how it's sort of, we will plot the thing. We will see how the Gaussian beam looks like once we kind of get the expressions for both omega z and r. Okay, so let us just get to that. Let us find out the expression for omega z, the wz. So that means, well, yeah. So where is that? So that one is this guy, right? So what we have is your yeah. So you have 1 by where is this? So basically this is real. Yeah. Acha. So this one is imaginary part. This one, right? So your let us just write this properly. So basically, what you will get is 1 by omega 0 square, omega square z will come as 1 by omega 0 square by 1 plus z by z naught square. So ये जो थोड़ा check कर लो. So basically, did I should have actually written this as, no, this is okay. No, this is basically I lambda by pi. यहाँ पे एक I lambda pi. So this will cancel. This is fine. Yes, this is fine. This is fine, right? So that implies my w square z is w0 square 1 plus z by z naught whole square, this thing, which means that my w of z is w0 1 plus z by z naught whole square, uska root. Okay, so these are the very crucial relationships for your R and your Z. Okay, so once we have this, so now we can actually physically understand what the meaning of your Rayleigh parameter, that Rayleigh range is. Okay, when I said that this this guy,
Sir, in that
yeah.
calculation of 1 by omega square of z, in the right hand side you have written 1 by omega 0 square. Is it 1 by omega square 0 square or just omega 0 square? I'm not sure about that.
एक मिनट इसको देखते हैं.
It's 1 by omega 0 square only, sir.
ठीक है ना?
But sir, on the
yeah, ठीक है. Then Rohan, देखो. So this is 1 by omega 0.
Right.
Sir, on the left. The equation which is on the left in the numerator. No. The above, the equation above this.
This one.
In the numerator.
Yeah.
No. The left corner. Above
right.
this corner. Sir, equation above this on the left corner.
ये वाला ना, मतलब main equation.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
In the numerator, the omega naught square should be in the
denominator. Correct. You're right. It will be denominator.
Yes,
sir. Everywhere.
Everywhere denominator, no? Yeah, of course, absolutely right. All of these there. Oh, ये पूरा जाएगा ये. This is horrible.
Sir, could have just written -2.
Yeah. हाँ, ये पूरा common लेके कर सकते थे. Anyway, ठीक है. Yes, that is correct. 1 by lambda pi omega 0 square plus. This is correct. I by lambda pi. This is now right. This is clear. So yeah, thank you for that. Acha, so what we can see, however, is very clear, very interesting, that at your z equal to z naught, basically your omega of z is root of 2 omega naught, right? So this Rayleigh range basically tells you कि at what distance from the lowest. So, and also you can very clearly see that my this my waist size, it continuously increases monotonically as a function of z, which is very interesting, which is actually telling you that our assumption that we take that z equal to 0 may omega 0, that is the minimum way that, so that now, so it really tells you that basically my beam sort of evolves as something like this. If I say that this is my z equal to 0, it just goes like that and comes like this.
Sir,
Okay.
how do we know that R and or W are radius of curvature and waist size? And how do we know about this?
No, waist size, so you can clearly see. So, see, radius of curvature we defined in that other thing, no? When we wrote down the phase thing. So, see, what we will actually find that this is extremely similar to the spherical wave, how a spherical wave propagates. So, when we write down the full expression for the field, you will see that what we described. So, remember that R was there in the phase factor, right? We had this x squared plus y squared divided by r, and with an I. So this is basically like a phase factor. And here, so basically what we will see is just like, in a spherical wave, as you go, the wave sort of propagates like this, right? So it just goes like that. It just keeps on in increasing, right? And we describe this r as small r as this. This is my r, right? So we can actually show that the Gaussian wave that we write, that so the transverse part of the beam, that is basically, it is absolutely like a spherical wave. There is no difference. We will show that is exactly like a spherical wave. And this is basically a measure of the radius of curvature, right? So we shall show that the equation of the spherical wave can be directly mapped to the equation of the Gaussian that we took. So obviously r is the radius of curvature. We will show that we have not come yet, but
Okay.
at the moment what you are saying, what we are claiming is that w, this Rayleigh range ka matlab essentially is, so if this kind of a distance, where if this is say my omega 0, this Rayleigh range is essentially that distance where my this waist size is now root 2 omega 0. So this Rayleigh range essentially tells you how fast the beam is expanding. So you can clearly see that if I have a large omega 0, my Rayleigh range is also large, which means that the beam will very slowly spread. It will spread very slowly, like that. Whereas if the omega is very small, then the beam will diverge very fast.
Sir,
So when
but
we say, yeah, tell me.
this very fast or very slow, this information is
Fast.
already contained in R, right?
No, but that is the radius of curve. Yeah, you can say that. Yeah, these are all linked with each other. But what is important actually, Rohan, is that the radius of curvature in terms of measurement is almost, you cannot measure. Like it is, you just cannot measure. In experiment, I'm saying, you can always fit things and find out there. But in an experiment, measuring radius of curvature is very tough. But
Okay.
and especially when we say that, when we talk about collimated beams, right? So essentially, a collimated beam is that. So let me just write this down. This is very important. A collimated beam is that which has a large Rayleigh range. That is exactly what a collimated beam is. It's very crucial. Okay. So no Gaussian beam, when you say, when we say parallel, and it is like a perfect cylinder and all. hmm, So that description is not correct, because every Gaussian beam will diverge. Okay, it is only how rapidly or how sort of slowly it diverges. That is the only thing which matters.
Sir, for the lasers that we have in the lab, what is the
Hmm.
typical value of omega naught?
Acha, then that so you are saying that. Please, Hitesh, take a minute to calculate. I am telling you that typical one, and I request all of you to calculate so that you can understand. So let me just rub this bit. Let me go to a new slide. This is a very useful exercise. This is a very, very important exercise, practical exercise. Oh, this saved, no? Okay. What is this? Immediately, you guys should calculate so that you have a fair idea. So, no, yeah. So Rayleigh range, that is pi omega 0 square by lambda. So please quickly calculate Z0. Calculate Z0 for omega 0 equal to 2 mm and omega 0 equal to 6 micrometer. Immediately calculate and tell me. And lambda is 650 nanometer. Or I'll make it easier for you, 600 nanometer. Tell me. And this will, see, these are like real life lessons. You know this, you just tell me now.
Sir, I had a kind of
Huh.
a
Yeah,
doubt.
Priyanuj, tell me.
Suppose, see, the Gaussian beam will diverge. Suppose I put a lens at a suitable place. Can I make that whatever part of the wave is diverging to become collimated? Or even if after I do make it
Of
collimated,
course, of
it will
course.
again get diverged.
Priyanuj, first find this out. First find it out. Then let us talk on that. We'll spend some time on this.
Sir, you have given
First
two
find
values
this
of
out.
omega naught, is it?
Ha.
Okay.
Two values. Find Z0 for this and find Z0 for this.
But lambda is same, right?
Lambda is same. Yeah. Lambda same nahi hai, so it's no use to calculate. I mean, it's no use to compare.
The first one is 20.9
What?
Meters.
meters.
And this one?
1.8 and 10 to the power minus 4 meters.
1.8. This, I think. Is this correct?
Or 0.18 millimeters.
180 micron, na?
Yes, 188
So
micrometers.
188 bola.
Yes, sir.
88.
Yes, sir.
Acha, now you realize what fantastic thing physics is telling you, that this becomes his beam, 2 mm beam will become, so therefore 2 mm beam becomes 2 into root of 2, that is 2 into 1.4, so 2.8 mm, right? 2.8 mm in 21 meters. Yeah, how much is this? This is like 765 feet, and it is increasing from 2 to 2.8. तुमको लगेगा ही नहीं कि it is actually expanding. So that is why when we take a laser pointer, so this is what I told you. This is basically the typical beam size of laser pointers. Okay, so when you take a laser pointer and you shine it from one end of a cinema hall to the screen, it will look like a small beam. So this is the meaning of a beam. Really, right, from a distance of 20 meter, it is changing by 40%. something like that, right? Like 2.8, 2 by 2.8 kitna hai? It'll be, I think, 0.8 by 2. Yeah, 40%, right? Right, 40%. Right? Whereas this one, you see, this is remarkable, right? In just 100, what, 200 micron, this is 0.2 mm. This is becoming much larger, right? It's becoming whatever. So now you see, if you go by a distance of even 5 mm, 5 mm, this beam will become giant. So you can easily calculate by that formula, ki if you go by a distance of 1 millimeter, that will go by, since by z by, it's like it's going to go like, or it is like almost proportional. So one very clearly what you can see is that, yeah, so we have like omega z equal to omega 0 root of 1 by z naught whole square, right? So for large z, z by z naught is much more greater than 1. So you almost have omega z, omega z, arey yaar. This omega z is almost equal to omega 0.
Z by Z naught.
Yeah, z by z naught. Right. So basically, this tells you that as you increase z, this is almost going to increase proportionally. Right? So, but that really tells you that the meaning of, so, to all intents and purposes, this is like a cylinder. This is very, you cannot, I mean, in a standard room, you cannot make out, right? A standard room is what? A very large room is 15 feet, right? And this we are, I mean, length, one dimension, I'm saying. And this we are saying is like, 60 or 21 meter, only 66, 70 feet, ke upar, right? So it is only changing by so little. Okay, now, so now you have realized. So Hitesh, your question is answered. Typically, the laser beams we use in the lab are of this order diameter. I mean, sorry, radius. It sort of varies. So it might be, so standard laser beams are between 1 to 2 mm in radius, I would say. 1 is actually too small. I would say 1.5 to 2 mm. Okay, 1.5 to 2 mm. Standard in radius. Okay, so then they actually have a very large Rayleigh range, and to all, they are generally, you consider them to be like, that is what we call collimated, that they change diameter so slowly. I mean, so slowly, so less, you should say. Slowly is not correct. So less as it travels in the Z. Acha, now Priyanuj, what was your question?
Yeah, I think my question is now not valid. Like, if the diameter becomes to 2.8 millimeter after 21 meters, I don't think in lab they will make much difference in a
doesn't matter,
apparatus of 1 meter.
But yes, doesn't matter. But you can always see, you can take a beam like that, and you can change the diameter of the beam very easily by having two lenses. Okay, so the basic thing is,
Actually, yeah, my doubt was about this. Suppose even if I do make the beam, sorry, like if it was diverging, I use a lens setup to make it collimated. Will the collimated beam also start
yes, but
diverging?
very slow. So very little slow. Again, I'm saying slow, very little, in the sense that,
So,
see, the basic aim is, when you have a certain best possible collimation, is to keep the beam or the source at the, so source should be kept at the focal length of, at the focal plane of the lens, in order to achieve the best possible collimation. Okay, so that is how you basically collimate a beam. Focal plane of a lens to achieve collimation. So basically what and you remember, this property of Gaussian beams allows you to change diameter like this. So how will you do that? So for example, if I ask you, how do you let me see how you guys can answer. So basically, what is the meaning of this? Remember basic ray optics, you have heard. You have heard me. You know that a lens will take a parallel beam and focus it at its focal plane or whatever. Similarly, if you have a point source or whatever you have, like that, something like that, which is diverging, and you keep that source at the focal plane of a lens, the output will be a parallel beam. This is like a reversible thing, right? This will, if you reverse this, it will work, right? So now tell me, how do you change the omega 0 for a Gaussian beam? How do you think you can do that?
Sir, you just explained it 2 minutes ago.
How do you change the omega 0? Did I tell you?
Yeah, that diagram you drew now.
You understood? No, this is, I want to make sure people understood.
Okay.
This is, yeah, people, everybody understood this? Huh? Everybody understood this? What I meant by this?
Yeah, sir, I think so.
Clear,
But
right?
the main point is the focal length of both have to be different, right? So you have a
Yes,
different
yes,
width.
yes, yes. Correct. Choose. So basically, I should just rub this. Sorry.
So, sir, in fiber optics, were we
Yeah.
trying to make the beam collimated with the lenses?
No, really not, because it was mostly collimated coming from the laser. No,
So what
lens
was
कहाँ पे था यार?
so
Fiber
we
में
were
you just have two mirrors. You had a focusing lens into the
yes, sir,
fiber.
I'm talking about the focusing lens.
That was not calling. Come on, that was focusing into the fiber. Yeah. So see, basically that is the issue, right? We have not yet found out that thing. Ki how does focal length change? That we have not seen. But basically, that formula that you have, we will derive that. Is that when you come with a diameter of omega naught, the diameter after a lens is basically given by lambda pi by that diameter into the waist. So the bigger the waist, did I say right? Wait, so lambda f by pi d. Yeah, sorry. So the omega is lambda f by pi d for a lens. So this is the input. So I should not write d. Should we write this differently? So I'm jumping guns badly here, but so if I say that this is f, that is lambda, this is final lambda f by pi omega I. So if this is your initial waist, this is your final waist. Okay. So the bigger the initial waist, the smaller will be the final waist. And focal length, jitna chota tumhara focal length hai, the smaller will be the final waist. That we will derive. We have not done that yet. Okay. So this is a different formula completely. So for fiber, we were trying to take this waist and convert it into this waist using a focal length f. Because the fiber initial beam was something like this, we wanted to convert it to this. Okay, we wanted to convert a beam of focal length 2 waist 2 mm into a beam of diameter, or sorry, radius 6 micron, because that is the waist of the fiber. That is the thickness of the fiber. Sorry, fiber core. So basically, for how do you change omega 0 for Gaussian beam? So you choose two lenses of focal lengths.
So the output of the fiber, you will you get the same
No,
type
that
of
there you
output
have to keep that. That is like ulta. That is ulta. So this is your fiber. Okay, it is diverging. You keep a lens at the fiber tip should be kept at the focal length of the output lens, and you will get a collimated beam. Collimated matlab whatever. Remember the collimation matlab kya? Collimation will be whatever beam size the beam has at the lens exit pupil. That will be the final omega 0, W0 of the beam.
No,
Samjha?
you're saying that output of the fiber will get
Yes.
that will be collimated.
No, that will not be collimated unless you put a lens. If you don't put a lens, it will never be collimated. We did not be देखो वो तुम्हारा, it was not part of your problem, so you guys did not do that. You don't need to do that, but it does not need to be collimated. But it will not be never be collimated, right? Because it's a you think of it, na fiber
Yeah,
aperture बहुत छोटा.
I got it. That's why I was asking. So no,
हाँ.
but you said that we were trying to convert 2 millimeter W
That is for
not
incoupling to the fiber. That was for coupling into the fiber. Sabja? So basically, you had a beam coming like this. You put a lens like that, and you focused it like this. Focused it like that, and the fiber is basically kept like this. Okay, this is what we were doing, and this had to be translated back and forth, and all this. So you were adjusting both this way and that way, right? This way, so that this focal plane coincided with the fiber input plane, and you did this and this, so that this one was right in the aperture. So you could not have, you had basically, you had to do something exactly like this, right? You if this is like something like, if this is like this or like this, it will never work. Or if something, it is like something like this, जहाँ पे ऐसा जा रहा है वो, and the fiber is kept here, and it will go like that, right? So that is why you had control over this, that is the Z, and X and Y, of course. X and Y is out of the plane, so that you could focus into the fiber aperture, as well as yeah, into the, basically into the fiber aperture properly, so that the Z sort of control the beam size, and the XY control the alignment of the fiber with respect to the lens axis.
Sir,
They all had to be collinear. Bolo.
Two questions. First one is, when you put a lens, after that, what is the meaning of W naught?
W naught mane, it is, there is no W naught. There is a W final and W initial. Okay. So there are two things. Once you come, so basically let us draw this. तुम्हारा जब lens से तुम focus करते हो, suppose this is your lens. I should not draw like this. Okay. So you have a beam coming like this. Okay. And this is your lens. Okay. So this focuses like this. So I'm sorry, I did not draw the input Gaussian beam like this. This is actually a collimated beam. Think of it as a collimated beam with very little change in money. Omega naught is changing very little. So you had an initial waist that was WF. Now you have a focused waist that is WI. Samjha?
Sir, ulta.
Huh?
Ulta, it should be WI initially, right?
Very sorry. Thanks. I'm very careless in these things. Very sorry. Yes, WI, WF. And now, similarly, Hitesh, if you keep a lens, for example, here, then again, this is the focal length of that. Then the output will basically be a WO, which will then diverge like that. So whatever you had here, that is going to be, and if this were in the focal plane, then it's basically going to image it like this.
Oh, okay. And the second one is, like, why is this, like, when I did the fiber optic experiment, it was very sensitive to even slight adjustment. So
यही तो boss.
Even slight adjustment, like
Hitesh, what are the dimensions? Yeah, 6 micron is your beam waist. You imagine. So if your beam waist is your, see, the fiber diameter was 6 micron, right? So if you change it by 1 or 2 5, 6 micron, like that, it's something of that order, right? And so you had to get the beam size also of that order, na? So now think of it, if you are displaced by 1 micron, you are like 16% off. Imagine. And think of it, intensity. You are looking at finally power, right? So intensity will go by power of 2, because it's like pi omega 0 square. So if you are off by 6 to 5 micron, intensity will change from 25 to 36. So it's like square change hoga. Right? So there'll be drastic change.
Calculated that even like a slight change, that is 2.8 millimeters, that we will see in 21 meters.
That is for the big Z naught. अरे वो तो ये वाला था.
Okay.
This is Z2 micron, ना? ये वाला तो छोटा है बहुत, right? So basically, see, these things you have to form a picture. Just mathematical formulas will not work. So only thing that you picture that you should form is, when you have a large beam, okay, it will also diverge less. If you have a small beam size, it will diverge much higher. Okay, so that is the basic picture that you should have. So यहाँ पे what I'm saying is, so choose, let me complete this sentence. Choose two lens focal lengths and keep them at a separation of f1 plus f2. So the wf sorry will be like wi into f2 by f1. If I'm saying that f1 is the first lens, f2 is the second lens. Okay, so this is a very easy thing that you can do in the lab. Basically, if you can, that is the, because these are all Gaussian beams, so you can sort of very nicely do these things. You can do these, in a very, very controlled manner. So any beam but and most important, so we have not derived this formula. So when we derive this, you will see that you will understand why when you want to get extremely small beams, focus beam size should be very small. You need a lens whose focal length is extremely small, and you also need a input beam which is diameter is large. So why this is important, for example, again, let me I'm digressing a bit, but whatever, in optical trapping this is very crucial, because see, we have these objective lenses, right? So objective lenses have some so they look like this, so they look like something like this. Okay, like this they look. If you have seen an objective, maybe you have seen these objects, so they look something like this, right? So you have to ensure that, and the demand is that you need to have an extremely small focal spot at the focal plane. Okay, because that will increase the intensity. So you have to ensure that this input aperture of the objective is completely is filled. We call it overfilled or thorough, but it has the input beam diameter has to match the input pupil of the object, and the input the plane, pupil plane of the objective, so that the spot size here is the smallest. So that is very crucial. Okay, we will come to that, but essentially what we are saying now is that a Gaussian beam basically expands proportionally to its waist size. In fact, not proportionally, square of pi omega square by lambda, right? So the smaller the waist, the larger it will diverge, the more it will diverge. Okay, so let me let us, I think in a fresh slide we will do. So what we will now write down the final expression and all for our, because final thing is to write down the electric field and all that. Oh, why is it not working? These things are crazy. Suddenly this stopped to work. Anyway, it's not zooming out. Let's just try here. Okay, so what we had, so final expression for electric field, for E field for the Gaussian beam. Okay, so remember we had this thing, we had this e to the I pz that we wrote as 1 plus 1 by 1 plus I z by z0, and so that I can sort of write that as, if I just write in with phase and amplitude that way, this basically becomes z by z0 square e to the some minus I phi of z, where phi of z is tan inverse z by z0. Okay, this is fine. So that means now I can write down the full expression. My E of r essentially is a e to the I kz, this is the plane wave factor, divided by root of 1 plus z by z naught square. This has to be done very carefully. E to the minus I phi z, e to the uh, I k x square plus y square divided by 2 rz e to the minus x square plus I square divided by omega squared z. This is my entire expression. Okay, so I have these. Acha, so this is, and okay, maybe I should just, this is a nice drawing that I think I should put here. I've taken it from that book. Just probably put that here. In that other one, anyway. Yeah. So So this is what I was trying to tell you actually. This is exactly what I was trying to tell. I already drawn it here, but this is a full picture. So this is your input intensity, as I was saying. Then you focus at this is your z equal to 0 plane, and then this is your at some z value. This is how the Gaussian beam basically looks like. Okay. Okay. So so now one very crucial thing that we first of all we need to just show you that this is basically nothing but very close to the expression for a spherical wave. Okay, that is something that we need to show. So acha, so basically as I said, so this is this whole thing is very, so the propagation so the propagation of uh, Gaussian beam is very similar to the diffraction of a plane wave through a circular aperture. Very, very similar. And that we will derive this at some point. But what basically where it is so similar is that suppose you have a circular aperture, which from side view will suppose it looks like this, and you have say some series of plane waves that is coming here incident on this. Okay, so what you will basically have at the output plane, if you put a screen here, so you know that you will get these circular ring patterns, right? These are called Airy patterns and all. This is how you look like, but if you actually plot the intensity profile, you will get something like this, like that. Okay, and suppose I say that if I just write this angle, this theta from the first minima to the axis, and if I say that this radius of the first part, that is some r, okay, then maybe you know but that this r is given by 1.22 lambda by d. Okay, where this d is the aperture size. The d is the aperture size. So this one is d, right? So this is now what we can see here. See for a Gaussian beam that actually, so this is sorry, not r. Aha, very sorry, very sorry. This is actually theta. That theta is 1 point this thing. This theta. And actually this lambda, wait, theta is this, and r basically is yeah, so basically r is 1.22 lambda z by d. Okay, this is the general expression that you get for the this radius of the first ring. Now think of this same thing for Gaussian beam. Okay, so Gaussian beam, here you can say very clearly that this theta is again we are saying that this is very small, so this is like omega z by z. Now this I can sort of write as omega 0 by z0, right? So this omega 0 and z0 are these things, right? So this is my almost equal to, right? So this is again a sort of approximation. But now if you see this, if I now put this as omega 0 by pi omega 0 square by lambda, this comes to very similarly to what is this? So basically this will become lambda by pi omega 0. So basically some lambda divided constant, which is, I mean, lambda by omega 0, which is lambda by d into something here. Okay. So basically, so yeah. So what we can also then write. So we are almost. Let me see. Okay. Should probably.
Sir, here won't it be W naught by root 2 Z naught?
Yeah, so
Sorry, yeah,
root 2 W naught.
root
So
2,
yeah, is this the
yeah,
proportional? I mean, this
yeah.
will be a proportional sign. I mean, this is of course root 2 by approximately W0, right? So this is basically, yeah, I mean, there is some constants will be there. So this is that's why I wrote this W0. So essentially, this is this by that. So yeah, I mean, you can take this to be the actual value will be this, of course. I mean, it is this by that, right? So here it's root 2. Yeah, but it
Sir,
is
we shouldn't take
inside
root
that.
2 because root 2 is still in the collimated region of the beam.
Yeah, what?
We shouldn't be taking root 2 as he said because that
Hmm.
root 2 part is still in the collimated part of the beam. Here you are taking in the limit where z is large, right?
Correct. Yes, right. We have
The
very large Z.
omega naught by root 2 is still in the range where the beam is collimated. Where
Right. You cannot. Yeah, it is almost same. So I don't think you can sort of. Yeah, basically when I write a almost equal to
you should
thing,
take
then
for z very
yeah.
very large, then omega z by z that will
So
give you.
basically, yeah, for large Z you anyway have this 1 plus Z by Z0 square. This is like very close to Z by Z. This is anyway close to Z by Z naught, right? This
Yeah.
is very much there. So basically, that is why we just take this directly as omega 0 by Z0 actually, right?
Okay, okay.
So, okay. So now see what is interesting now, and also you can say that your also tells you that this omega z, that is basically then this is just omega 0 z by z naught, which is essentially lambda z by pi w naught, which is basically nothing but this. Ah, what did I write here? Lambda z by pi w naught, which is exactly the same as this, right? Lambda z by pi w naught, which is absolutely same. Just this, the some constant. This is whatever 1 by pi is 1/2. Small constant. There's a difference, right? So this is actually that this really. Acha, so this derivation we will do later on. But what you can understand now is that this is, and also you can see that when I have very large z, also you have this e to the this pi sorry your phi, this phi that tends to pi by 2, right? Because it is tan inverse z by z naught, so that tends to pi by 2. So your e to the which means that your e to the minus I pi z, that phi of z, that is essentially e to the minus I pi by 2, which means it is like I, right? Minus I or whatever, right? So then now my e, let us make this even smaller if I can. So then what I have is my ER becomes nothing but minus I. Acha, and all what you can also see is that your R, this whole thing I can basically again take as Z by Z naught. So essentially this will become A Z naught by Z e to the I k Z e to the I k x squared plus y squared by 2z e to the minus x squared plus y squared by omega square z, right? Acha. Now, very interestingly, acha, we'll just end with that note. Think of a spherical wave, okay? So spherical wave, as I said, basically you have something spreading like this, right? Oh man, let me draw the curve first. So consider a spherical wave. So basically it is something like, if I just consider the phase front at somewhere. So we typically, so what do we write it? We generally write it as some E0 by R e to the I k dot r, right? This is what we write. Now think of this, that suppose I have this as an origin 0, 0, 0, and this is some r, this is some, this is say 0, 0, r, and this is, sorry, this is not, this is, sorry, this is x, y, r, and this is some 0, 0, r. Okay, now, so at your z equal to r, what do you have? Basically, your small r is nothing but your, it is like x squared plus y squared plus z squared half, which means that at, if I put z equal to r, then this is nothing but r by 1 plus x squared plus y squared by r squared to the power half, this whole thing, right? So now this is basically nothing but r plus x squared plus y squared by 2r. I mean, if I'm assuming that this is close to the axis, if I'm not, I mean, obviously this spread is so, considering points, transverse points close to the z-axis, obviously, which is the whole thing that we are doing here, right? So this is fine. So that means that your e to the I k dot r, kr, is nothing but, yeah, so basically you have e to the I, just I k r, and e to the I x square plus y square divided by, there's a k somewhere, to r. Yeah, so there is a k, of course,
Sir,
I k x square plus y
sir,
square by 2r. Ah,
e to the power I k dot r in this, are you saying k is
yeah,
one vector?
k is what?
Like
K is the k
because e
vector.
to the power I k dot r, that is the form of a plane wave.
Yeah, so basically that is what we have ना, spherical wave में तो वही है, right? A to the
नहीं, k dot r
E0
will
r,
give
e
a
to the I k.
plane wave front.
Yeah, no, but then, yeah, but those spherical wave में basically you just have in the amplitude you have that E0 by r, no?
No. That
Oh,
won't
and there is a, yeah.
rectify the fact that the wave front will still be a plane.
Yeah. So
I
yeah,
don't
so
like
it's basically e to
spherical
the
waves
I
don't
k
have
r.
that form. K dot r. Sir, you're not audible, or my internet is bad.
Uh, ah, I can't hear sir either.
Sir, you're not audible.
Hey, I was. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Can you
Now
hear
Yes,
you're
sir.
me?
audible.
Now,
Yes.
Yeah, I was just thrown out. Oh, completely yeah. Yeah. So what were we saying? Yeah, can you
Sir,
see?
you have stopped presenting also.
Wait. I was just, I did not realize I was thrown out actually. Anyway, wait. Ah, again.
So
Yeah.
the last thing we were discussing was that e to the power I k dot r does not
Hmm.
represent the spherical wave.
No, so basically, no, the spherical wave, what you write is basically this, no?
No, sir.
no, that will be not dot r. This is not a vector or something. That
Ah,
is
this is not a vector.
yours.
Yeah.
This is the just the distance, and you are putting at that
Huh.
x square.
When sir said
You are
dot
saying
r,
that,
I
right,
thought that
Aniruddha? No, not dot. Means it
No, it's
r
not.
not be
Oh,
the
acha,
r is just a distance.
Yeah,
R is
yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
a,
Yeah, it's not a vector. Certainly not a vector.
it's
Of
not a,
course not. It's not a vector. Of
that's
course.
what I was saying. If k is a
Yeah,
yes,
vector,
yeah,
yes.
yeah,
then
You
yeah,
are
this is
right.
yeah,
You
yeah,
are
something
right.
like
yeah.
You
Sorry.
are right.
You are completely right. I just wrote that as vector. If you write, then it's so yeah. It's just kr. Of course, E0 by r, but kr anyway. Yeah, that is absolutely fine. So anyway, so now what you are seeing here is so this yeah. So basically, what you finally get is that your spherical, the final expression for the spherical wave is, it is. So yeah, so let us just write this properly. Yeah, so basically I can just write this as this again. If it's very close to the axis, I can essentially write that I can just approximate this z or r, whatever, to be almost equal to r. So now if you just compare this and that, what you see that at points close to the z axis, this Gauss, the phase front is identical to a spherical wave. Right? Is that clear? So what you see here also, for example, what you have here, essentially what you have here is, just exactly, if you just think of, here, this, right? So if you see this expression and that expression, this is exactly the same. Absolutely the same. This z r by z by r, यहाँ पे z है, z, you just have r, इसको अगर z कर देंगे तो fine. And what is all even more interesting is that right on the axis, where z equal to 0, there it is a perfectly spherical wave. So at z equal to 0, the Gaussian beam is exactly a spherical wave. The reason being is that then obviously this part becomes 0, because x squared, x, y are 0, right? So not this part, where this part is 0, right? Because the Gaussian part becomes, it is not that 0. What you have is only this part, and this is exactly a spherical wave, because the Gaussian, the decrease in intensity, because obviously x square plus y square is 0. So what we have here is basically this just collapses into an exact spherical wave. So that is why these type of solutions are called Gaussian spherical wave solutions. So what you basically you see is that now what we can understand very clearly. So Rohan was asking that time that this r I can essentially write down as some kind of a radius of curvature. What we had as that 2rz, or when we have here, no. What we typically, here, this has become very small. So let me increase this part a bit. Oh yeah, this whole thing can't be selected. Anyway, so this part, as you see, 2rz, this is essentially nothing but this. what you have here, this radius of curvature,
Uh,
right? What this radius of curvature is. So we can actually map a spherical wave almost like perfectly to a, yeah, I mean, at the axis of the Gaussian, as we say, what we have is an exact spherical wave, and these are basically Gaussian spherical wave solutions.
sir,
Solutions.
sir,
Yeah.
but while writing this E of R just before
Huh.
this spherical wave, we
Huh.
took Z as very large, and then we wrote that expression.
Nas, yeah, compared to x square plus y square. No, that is fine, right? Because at the z, it's okay. This is my z, right? So z is very large. It's no problem. No, my x square plus y square are very small compared to z, right? It's only then that I can make this expansion. Otherwise, I cannot make a spherical
No,
wave also.
but then you have made a statement that Z equal to 0, the Gaussian beam is exactly same as.
No, at z equal to 0, sorry, z axis. Very sorry. Very sorry. On the z equal to 0 now, yeah. At the z
Ah,
axis. At the
ah,
X
z
Y
axis.
0.
Very sorry.
now it is fine.
Very sorry. No, very sorry. At z axis. At the z axis, the Gaussian beam is exactly a spherical beam.
Okay.
Very sorry. Z equal to 0, man, nonsense. Right? Doesn't make any sense. At the z axis, the Gaussian beam is exactly a spherical beam. Yeah, exactly. That's what I meant. At the z axis.
So just a small point.
Huh.
Even if you write k dot r, what's the problem? Like k is along r cap, anyways. So k dot r or kr is the same thing.
No. K is a definite vector in that sense, right?
Yeah, so that
And
is the Anirudh is
no, no,
being
no.
very
For,
particular. So he's saying the
for,
projection of k dot r and kr. Well, yeah. I mean,
for a spherical wave, k is along r
yeah.
cap, right? So k dot r means kr.
Yeah. That you
Then
can say.
then
But
your
no,
definition of
but
K
then
is
no.
different.
But
You're
Hitesh, you
having
are
K at
definitely.
different points in space.
Yeah, no. But there you are defining that. The moment I say that
So
k is
you
along
can
r,
consider a
yeah,
spherical wave.
it's
Then
spherical
you wrote
wave.
the
Yeah,
equation.
yeah. I also, if if I say that this is a spherical wave, then k obviously typic is yeah, it is along the that thing. That is
Yeah,
probably
so then
correct.
it's not should not be an issue.
I also agree. Yeah, that is why.
In that
Mane,
case, K is not a single vector. Then it's a function of space. Like that. That wasn't.
yeah. K of r. So basically, what we are saying is that this is essentially I k this something like that. This is essentially k is like this is what we have actually. So this is along r. So k is along r.
Sir, the
It's
magnitude
not a
of K
particular vector.
is 2 pi by lambda. I mean, why will it vary a lot?
Yeah. This is actually, yeah. So essentially, that will not vary. So see what we are.
The
Yeah. So
direction
both.
vary.
What? Sorry,
The
Anirudh?
direction of K will depend on the
Direction. Yeah.
position in
K.
space,
Yeah.
right?
Correct. So
It's
basically,
along r cap.
k is
It's along
along
r.
r.
Yeah,
K is along r.
that's how you define a spherical wave. K has to be
Right.
along
Uh,
r cap
so in
because it's
that
Correct.
case,
everywhere.
then your K is different in different points in space, right? It's not one single K vector.
It's
No, but
it's uniform, right? It's everywhere. Spherical wave, how it progresses. It progresses
uh. So at
uniformly
every
everywhere.
I'm
r you
not
have a
disagreeing
k.
about that.
So
I'm
Uh,
it's
just
not
saying that the
any
form of
infinite.
the mathematical form in which you write it, if you're writing K dot r, then the K cannot be a single vector. It has to be a function of space,
Correct.
where K is r K is something times r
So
cap.
basically, it is
So
k is
K
r
is
dependent. So it is
K
along r.
and r cap. So what's the problem in that?
Yes. I think it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
And
My problem
it's
was that I
completely
thought
fine.
K was a single vector which
No.
was
That is
uniform
not what
throughout
I'm
space.
saying. No, that was not what we meant. Anyway, so is this thing clear to you guys? So why there is a radius of curvature? I think that is a contentious issue because that's not a very apparent thing. But what you find here is that you are exactly mapping a Gaussian beam to a spherical wave. So the phase front that we consider.
Sir, you're not audible again.
Again, I was thrown out. So I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes.
I don't know where I was thrown out. So I was trying to say that did you hear that part? So the sharing was also stopped. Anyway, sharing I don't need to do. But what I was trying to say at the end was that we have a radius of curvature now. So that also, the sign of that also is very interesting, and then we will do it next class, where we can see that, just as for concave mirrors, convex mirrors, we defined, positive and negative sign of R. It is the same kind of thing appears for Gaussian beams as well. Right? So that curvature aspect, because of the phase front being similar to the spherical wave, I mean, the whole nature is similar to, so that's why these are called Gaussian spherical waves actually. Okay. Okay, so any more questions? Okay, so then okay. So next class we'll continue from this. Maybe we'll just touch upon the ABCD matrices also for Gaussian beam. That is the critical part. Okay, then. Let me stop recording. It's end.